Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is Refuge from Narcissism, and this refugee video is sponsored by contribution from Faith, and here's her story. Hi, Ollie. It's been about a year since going no contact from my family of origin. Last year, I changed my phone number, moved to another city, blocked them on social media. I also unfriended their friends and other people we had in common. So important. You cannot leave any branches for the narcissist to lead back to. You can't. They all have to be cut. If somebody's in contact with them, they gotta go because they're gonna be a lifeline to the narcissist every time. There was one thing I forgot about, an old email account. I rarely even check that email, but checked it yesterday and saw an email from my brother. It just said, call me, and left the number. My stomach turned at the sight of the email. I deleted it immediately. My first thought was, what do they want now? In fact, that was always my first thought whenever getting a call or a message from them. I already know that if I were to respond to that email, it would open a can of worms. Nothing good can come from it. They will manipulate me, make me feel bad, and then somehow turn that into something I should do for them. I absolutely know this. Every time. They only come in for you when they want something. Control, money, something physical, attention, and it's always about them. They never come looking for you. It's always for them. What caught me off guard is that I am also fighting the tendency to feel guilty and obligated. See, now this is a feeling that I just never ever had. I could never relate to, because there's one thing I never felt in regards to my parents, my brother, anyone other than Aaron, is feel guilty or obligated. Ever. I just wanted them away from me. I start to feel bad about hurting them. Why? Have they ever felt bad about hurting you? Ever? You see how much control and power they have? Where just an email saying, call me, opens up all of this. And back comes guilt, doubt, remorse, and now you're feeling bad for them because you hurt them. Keep in mind, the reason you hurt them is because they spent an entire lifetime hurting you. What if they actually miss me? They don't. What if they actually miss me and just want to know that I am okay? Well, why wouldn't you have said that in the email instead of just call me? Vagueness is the narcissist's best friend, especially when they're hoovering. Vagueness is bait when you're fishing. What is hoovering? You're fishing. They're fishing. And when they send some kind of vague message to you, that's the bait. They want you guessing. Well, what does it mean? What it's about? They want you guessing. Why? For the disappointment. That's why. Because they're missing their fix. They're missing their rush. They're trying to get it like an addict. They need it. They know how to work you. They know how to work your buttons. They know to keep it vague. And you get your hopes up just to have them crushed one more again. Maybe they just want to talk and be nice. Even if any of that were true, the fact would still remain that they cannot change. No matter how much I loved them, or should I say I loved them, I loved who I thought they were. They will only hurt those around them. They would only hurt me. I can't do it. I won't do it. Nor should you. I keep reminding myself that I am not responsible for their happiness. If they are hurt by me, so what? That's life. They're grown adults, and there's consequences. If they're hurt by you, why? You're not just arbitrarily hurting them because you feel like it. These feelings didn't just sprout up like a dandelion on the front lawn. They did this. They're the cause of all their pain and hurt and everything you did and cutting them out and whatever faux pain they're trying to guilt you by proxy, by vague message. They did it. They're responsible for it. All of it. Your anger is righteous. They're grown adults. Why should I feel about abandoning my parents? That's what they would call it, who are grown adults. The same grown adults that abandoned me over and over again when I was a kid. So I have no reason to feel guilt or obligation. Exactly. They did all of this. The narcissist is responsible for all their own pain. Post no contact? Absolutely. Why? Because why did you go no contact? Because they're narcissistic assholes. And now I'm supposed to feel guilty because you made a decision, you made the choice to act like this? Again, these are choices they make. These are calculated decisions that they make. They come up with calculated schemes in order to control you. None of this is to be pitied. None of it. These aren't bipolars with a chemical imbalance who think, aliens are coming if they put tinfoil. No. Everything they do is calculated and thought out and serves a purpose to serve themselves. Bipolar saying crazy shit is going to only get them labeled as crazy. It serves them no purpose. I know that the only path for me is forward. I know too much now to go backwards. I've learned things about myself this past year of living alone and pretty much starting my life over new. I learned that focusing on taking care of myself is the best chance I have at living a happy life. I changed psychiatrists after 2 years of the same person who could not get my meds right. The right medication for me was not Prozac or Zoloft or any antidepressant that would make me sleepy, but the Pacote I guess that's the Pacote or the Pacote for bipolar disorder, which I didn't realize I had. Now looking back, I see how I would teeter-totter in between being so high functioning between my work and after work and doing my 12-step stuff and still juggled all that with taking care of my family's endless needs. Eventually, I would tire out, go into hibernation mode, and all I would do is work and sleep. I didn't know that was bipolar. I didn't know that was what bipolar disorder could look like. Me either. And again, remember, I'm not a doctor or anything, but that doesn't sound like bipolar disorder to me. I mean, I don't know it out more. It doesn't. But again, I'm not a doctor. And again, I'm not anti-psychiatry. Okay, I would still get depending on how you're feeling, I would still get another opinion. Bipolar is like a chemical reaction, as far as I know. It's an imbalance. Again, this almost sounds like it's another misdiagnosis of being abused by sociopathic cluster B personality disorders. And a lot in the psychiatry are trying to substitute medication for validation. And again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, but I've seen enough of these go down. I'm very pro psychology, as long as you got the right one. Now I'm on this medication and it is helping. There is no depression and no pumped up anxiety driven days later. I'm learning to live my life at an even pace. At times it almost seems boring, but I consider that peace and enjoy it. There is no drama around me and no one blowing up my phone. No distractions. That could have more to do with your anxiety and your mood than the medication. See, the longer you stay no contact, the easier this gets. And the more your anxiety is going to subside. Is it ever going to subside completely? No. Narcissism is the gift that keeps on giving. Don't give all the credit to the medication. I don't necessarily think you are here because you realize the value your no contact has brought you. And it could very well be it's a combination of the no contact and the new medication. If you were just on the medication, still dealing with your parents, you might still be up through the roof. When there are no distractions, I see clearly the things about myself that need work and see that something in me has changed. The people pleaser in me has died. I always thought I was a genuinely nice person. Now I am wondering if all that niceness was driven by the motive to be liked and not genuine at all. Good observation. Could be. Because look, I'm basically annoyed by 95% of the people that try to talk to me in real life. I just have stop talking. Stop talking. And when you free yourself of that, and I'll tell my friend Tom, well, my business partner now, Tom, okay, has learned the same lesson. To stop being a people pleaser, because that's exactly what his parents made him into, because they, from a very young age, both his mother and his father, and he told me this yesterday, his father, at like 3-4 years old, said, if you're just a good boy, I'll never smoke again. And then he would take the cigarettes, crumple them up, and go out and throw them down the sewer. And lo and behold, a couple weeks later, Tommy would find him smoking again. It's like, and you made me do this. And the cycle repeat. And that made him into this people pleaser. Just always trying, because dad's going to die. If dad's going to die and mom's going to have a breakdown and yada, yada, yada. Once you fucking throw that shit, you're freeing to be able to tell somebody to shut the fuck up. You got nothing interesting to talk about. I don't want to be around you. It's freeing. It's mental rape when you got to sit there and acknowledge and act like you like somebody you can't fucking stand. It's horrid. And when you're able to do that and just like not care of what your own, the only opinion that matters is yours, is mine, is your own. Outside of that, who gives a shit? That's that narcissistic training that the opinion of others matters more than your own. And this is stuff that all comes to light once you get all your abusers out of your life. All of them. No lifelines, no Facebooks, no Twitters, no whatever, no FaceTime, no Snapcam, no Snapchat, no Instagram, none of it. No peeking, no looking. What are they doing? No, none of it. Because all of that keeps you in that negative state of mind. All of a sudden I have this hardened mentality, like fuck 'em mentally, like a fuck 'em mentality. I just say things now without thinking about all the things that could go wrong and how it could be misinterpreted by the other person. Exactly. Who gives a fuck? I think sometimes I come off as rude, though, so I need to find a balance between being assertive and being aggressive. People will call you rude, but they will fucking respect you. At first, it could be very off-putting, but if you stick to your guns, okay, people are going to respect it. And people are going to start listening. Most people are, especially now, are used to thinking everything that comes out of their mouth should have been carried down on stone tablets by Moses. And when you smack somebody in the face with the reality that, you know what, you're boring, you suck, people respect it. They might call you an asshole, they might call you rude, they might call you a douchebag or whatever, but they'll respect you. Looking back at my life, I could see how I made decisions to keep in my situation. I made decisions to replay the same trauma over and over again. I did that. I chose loser guys that I know are not capable of real emotion, hoping they could fill the parts of me that felt empty at the time. I chose to stay at a job that took advantage of me and paid me unfairly. I was so desperate for love and attention, I made friends with anyone that came along. I was so clingy with men that I drove away any good prospects at a healthy relationship. I played a role in dysfunctional family dynamics by listening to the gossip and enabling my family members. I have resigned myself to the fact that I am probably a borderline my damn self. Borderlines never will admit it. They will never admit it. Look, when you're raised by borderlines, you're going to have those borderline tendencies. The difference between us and them is we hate it and we do something about it. A borderline is not talking like this, is not writing into me repeatedly, Faith. They're not. People who have been abused by borderlines write into me repeatedly, thinking because they have some of the same thinking patterns and reactionary and react the same way that they're their mother or father, whoever that borderline was. You're not. You're not. It is the gift that keeps on giving. I am coming to accept that. If I am a borderline, I'm glad that I never married or had kids, because I would have repeated that pattern. I know my past relationships could be dramatic, and I could be rather dramatic, but that is not the end of the story. A borderline would have got herself pregnant. A borderline would have trapped a guy. A borderline would have done a lot of things. A borderline wouldn't have made the decision or would have been smart enough to not have children if they weren't mentally ready. Bottom line. If you wanted to get pregnant, Faith, I'm sure you could have gotten pregnant pretty easily. And believe me, I'm saying that proves you're not a borderline. Because a borderline will have a baby just for the pregnancy attention. Just to trap a guy. Just for that marriage. Just for that dick and attention. And you never brought it that far. This past year, I have learned to be alone, and that's the most important thing you can do. I've learned to enjoy myself all by myself. I have grieved the family I never had and wished I did, and I let it hurt until there was no more tears to cry. I've learned to get out of victim mode and start focusing on my future. I've decided to stay single, and I am at peace with that. And when you decide to stay single is exactly the time you'll find the right person. You're young. You're not old. You can find somebody with the right frame of mind. You can do whatever. I have decided to go back to school and study social work. I have grown closer to God and learned to rely on Him to guide me and comfort me. I'm not a perfect person. I will never be, but I am willing to work at being a better person. I hate religion. I love God. What could I tell you? I will not step foot in a Catholic church. I will not anything to do with any organized religion. They're all part of the problem. But I love God. I hear the laughter in my head when I say I want to become a social worker. How can a bipolar borderline become a social worker? Stop tearing yourself down. Then again, if Sam Vagueness can be where he's at, then I could surely go back to school for the next 5 years and see if I can't land a gig somewhere doing good for kids who are growing up the way we were. I hope that going forward, I can be a little different. I have a lot of work ahead of me. I know that I have to learn how to treat people kindly all the time, not just because I want or need anything from them, but because it's the right thing to do. Oh, geez, it's such a basic human attribute, but it's something I have to modify within myself. I have to learn how to trust humans again on some level, enough to have a social life. I know that I want to stay in therapy on the correct medication. So that's me. That's me. That's been my year of no contact. Thank you for all you do, Ollie. Thanks for hearing me out. Sorry if I might have rambled in some places, but like I said, nowadays, I just say what I need to say. It was a very nice letter. And you're on the right path. Okay? And before you go labeling yourself as bipolar or borderline and how could I do this or that, or like, if you want to be a social worker, be a social worker. But don't handicap yourself by saying who's going to hire this borderline, because I'll tell you this, you're not a borderline. And I would again, before accepting this new diagnosis of bipolar because of this new medication you're on, keep in mind the no contact, okay, could be all the medication you needed. So I hope that helps. Thank you again for another contribution in Story Faith. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, something you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up a Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or you'd like to set a or you'd like to just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been Refuge from Narcissism. Take care.